Hi, I'm Dan Root with QT Equipment, and today we're going to cover the TORKT Mini Lube. This is on a F550 4x4 chassis. This is an open style lube truck with 3 75-gallon tanks, one 135-gallon tank, salvage and grease. Let's dig in. Behind me, we've got the TORKT Mini Lube. Now, the TORKT brand is probably something you've not heard of before. This is our in-house brand, something that we started developing years ago, but put an official name to it last year. For the last 8 to 10 years, we've been building custom solutions for customers. Customers come to us, they have a field service problem. We can't buy something off the shelf to solve that problem, so we build it ourselves. And when we do that ourselves, we're looking to deliver to the customer a simple, straightforward, durable tool that can work for 10 to 15 years in the field. We're not looking to make Bluetooth-enabled anything. We're not trying to solve cancer with nuclear rocket surgery. We're trying to build the best, straightforward, simple, durable tools for field service. Simple works in the field. If you have a complicated solution, that's much more likely to fail, and we want to make life easy on the field techs, on the dispatchers, on the managers, on the owners of this equipment. So today we're going to go through the TORKT Mini Lube. This is on a F550 platform that's an open style lube with 3 75-gallon tanks, one 135-gallon tank, grease and salvage. We've got this built on a Ford F550. This is a 19,500 pound GVW truck. It's 4x4. So the benefits of this truck versus a large lube truck, a traditional lube truck, is that number one, you get the 4x4, which is hard to get in a big truck and nice to have out in the field. Number two is that it's much more maneuverable than a big lube truck, especially if you're in an urban environment, if you're working on the side of a road project, a highway project somewhere, and you got to pull out in front of traffic. This is going to accelerate and handle a lot better than a big Kenworth or Freightliner or whatever. And the other thing is it's not a CDL truck, so you can put a driver into this, you can pull a technician out of your shop that doesn't need a CDL, and it's a lot easier to put somebody in this truck. This is, again, an open style truck. You're going to get a 135-gallon tank, 3 75-gallon tanks, salvage and grease. So this isn't going to be a total replacement for a heavy equipment dealer's big lube trucks, but I've been told that this truck will do 70 to 80% of a large dealer's lube service. So you're going to be able to do most of your 500 and 1,000-hour services. You're not going to be able to do a 2,000-hour service on like a Cat 745 haul truck because of the differential oil. But you're going to be able to get a lot of the basic everyday lube service done in a truck this size. We can also put this on another chassis, another similar chassis, a Dodge, an International CV, a Chevy, if you've got a preference other than Ford. Looking at this body, this is built on an 84-inch CA chassis, which are pretty easy to come by. This body is primarily constructed out of 11-gauge steel, so it's nice and sturdy. We've got this bed liner material that is sprayed underneath and then on the deck to protect this area. This bed liner is from IXS Coatings, which is a sister company of Line-X. We've been shooting it for a couple of months now. We're very happy with this product. As far as overall weights go, when your new product tanks are completely full and your grease is full, you've got about 2,000 pounds of payload left for tools and for parts. For most people that we've talked to, that's plenty of payload. This truck will make weight. When Ford comes out with their F600, which we expect to do hopefully later this year in 2020, the GVW is going to go up to 22,000, and we'll be able to give you some additional payload when we switch over to that platform. We've got a simple ladder here for accessing the inside of the truck, being able to fill your tanks, and the grease is also up here. We've been using poly tanks in our industry for over 10 years. They are lighter than steel, they're cleaner than steel, and it also makes it very easy for you to unscrew the cap and visually inspect your product. So let's take a look. Up in the load space, we've got the salvage tank up in the front. You can see that it's got that little gray cylinder on top. That's the alarm for the overflow, and I'll show you the switch in the reel compartment for that. Next, we've got a 135 new product tank, 3 75 new product tanks. These are easy to unscrew here and be able to look inside your tank. These are the breather caps right here. The square tank in the front, that's a 10-gallon hydraulic tank for running your hydraulic reciprocating compressor. This is a BA 440 compressor. Been a very successful compressor both in service trucks and in lube trucks for us. And then on the other side, you've got the 120-pound grease system. So we're using the Graco 50-to-1 LD pump with the grease setup for running grease. We're using these Graco digital metered nozzles on this truck. These nozzles came out a couple of years ago. They've been very successful for us. In the past, we used a digital metered nozzle that looks like this. And this was a good nozzle, but it wasn't weatherproof. So we did have some failures of these out in the weather. Graco then took that and switched over to this mechanical metered nozzle. This is a rock solid nozzle, but it's not as fancy as the digital stuff. So Graco came to us a couple of years ago and showed us a prototype of this, which gives you the ruggedness of the mechanical meter with all the digital capabilities. And this has been a very successful product for us. We're using the rigid nozzle as a standard on these. It also comes in a flexible nozzle and also a gear lube option that's going to have a bigger diameter. This is nice for being able to just hang on a tank. The trigger locks, so you can just hang this and set it and let it go. If you need to get into a tighter spot, the flexible nozzle is nice. Again, these open and close so that you can close it up and make sure that you're not getting drips. Let me run through this real quick. First thing you're going to do is hit your reset button, and that'll bring you back to 0. If you want to see what the last total pumped was, you just hit the total button and it'll show you. It's going to default to quarts, but you can change it like this. So you hit the total and the reset button at the same time, you hold that down, everything lights up. The next thing you'll see 1.05, which is the software version, and then you'll see it blinking quarts. If you hit the total button, it'll rotate between pints, quarts, gallons, and liters. So we can put this back on quarts, hit reset. The next thing it's going to say is cal, so you can calibrate this. And there's a whole thing in the manual if you want to calibrate your nozzles. We're going to skip that for now and hit reset one more time, and you're back to start. On the product side, we've got RealCraft Reels. These are 50-foot single pedestal RealCraft Reels. They're fed by air, these air pumps, which we're going to get to in a second, and everything runs through this aluminum machined manifold with your ball valves for turning your products on. These are Graco LD 5-to-1 pumps. 100 pounds of PSI equals 500 pounds of pressure on the oil side. If you know the name Graco, you probably also know the name Fireball. Graco and Fireball pumps, that goes hand in hand. Graco started building Fireball pumps probably back in the 50s. I think there's probably Graco Fireball pumps older than me, still pumping every day. It's a great product. The reason we went with these LD pumps was that these LD pumps have internal thermal relief. What's thermal relief? When oil heats up 1 degree, you get 42 pounds of pressure building up in your lines. So on the business side of this, if the temperature goes up by 10 degrees, you're going to get 420 pounds of pressure built up inside your reel, inside your nozzle. Over time, that heating and cooling, that expanding and contracting can really shorten the life of the fittings and the hose inside your reel, your nozzle, and in your pump. With the LD pumps, you're going to extend the service life of your equipment. We've got these air regulators here. These are going to trap moisture, and you can hit the bottom here, and they're going to spray a little water out, anything that has been collected. And you can also pull these up and adjust your airflow, which is going to adjust the speed of your pump. You can see the exhaust on this pump right here. The exhaust is important in an air pump. Any air pump is going to freeze up depending on if you've got the right conditions. Any of them can do it. It can do it in Miami in July. And what it has to do with is the moisture in the air, the humidity, the speed the pump is running, and how long the pump runs. And what happens is that when the pressure is immediately relieved, when that pump makes a stroke, energy is absorbed and it cools down. The way pump manufacturers get around that, they try to eliminate the icing, is you make the exhaust as easy to get out of the pump as possible. So the more efficient the exhaust, the less icing that you could have potentially in any air pump. Over the last 8 to 10 years, we have not had a problem with icing in any of these pumps. And the other thing is, we're typically running these on, let's say, a 75 or 135 gallon tank. If you're pumping at, I don't know, 2-3 gallons a minute, you're only running those pumps for 15-20 minutes at a time. It really doesn't give them enough time for those pumps to ice up. For the salvage piece of this, we've got back behind here, we have the Graco Husky 1050 pump, which is a diaphragm pump, very, very rugged, reliable pump for us. We've got the Graco 4-way valve that you can push one side or the other when you're either suctioning and filling your tank, or you're emptying your tank and dispensing it wherever you put your used oil. And then you've also got a Y strainer back here. You're sucking up leaves and garbage and stuff. It catches all that. You can easily unscrew that and pick out any garbage that you may have picked up from your tanks. We've got the RealCraft salvage hose reel here. This is going to give you 35 feet of distance. You really don't want to go over 35 feet because the longer you get, the more difficult it is for your pump to pick up. These pumps will push a mile, but for them to suck, it's much more difficult. So the shorter that we can keep that hose, the better your pump is going to perform. And then the other thing we put in here is a salvage alarm. So you can flip that switch there. This light will illuminate, and then when your tank is full, if you remember that gray thing on the top of the tank, that's it checks the depth of your salvage tank. When that's full, this alarm will buzz and let you know that you're full. For the grease system, we've got the Graco grease nozzle, we've got a Z swivel, we've got 50 foot of high pressure hose off our RealCraft Reel, and in the body we've got a place for a 120-pound grease keg that you'll have to add in when you get the truck, and then a 50-to-1 LD Graco pump. On the rear of the truck, we've got the filter drain box, and then we've got rollers on the side to protect your hose and also the door if you're dragging your hose onto the one side of the truck or the other. We've got floodlights here on the top, and we've got LED compartment lights to light up the inside of this. We've got LED lights all the way around the truck, and this Dover aluminum roll-up door. On the driver's side here, we've got this storage compartment, and we've got an American Eagle toolbox in here for keeping the basic tools. We've got a place for 2 shelves. If you don't want 2 shelves, you can remove one. And then we've got the underbody boxes here for additional space. And again, these are constructed out of 11 gauge material, and they're a nice sturdy box. On the passenger side, we've got another storage compartment here. This is about 5 foot tall, and you've got a space for 5 drawers. And then we've also got similar underbody boxes underneath the body on this side for parts or trash or whatever comes up during your day. On the interior of the truck, we've got 2 switches. We're using these upfitter switches for floodlights. So we've got floodlights on the front corners of the body to be able to illuminate some of your work area. You can do that before you get out of the truck. The other switch here is for the strobe light, which is on the back. And then we've got the PTO switch. So to engage your PTO, parking brake has to be on. Obviously your truck needs to be on. And then hit the PTO switch and wait a second or two and you'll hear that ramp up. So that's it for the TORKT Mini Lube. Thanks for watching, and I'll throw one thing out to you. If you're watching this video and you're thinking that this may work for you, but you're not sure, or you're interested in this product and you're having trouble selling this to the upper management, we rent these trucks. So you could take one of these trucks, put it in your fleet for a short amount of time, see if it works, see if it is as advertised, see if it's a moneymaker for you. If you like it, you can buy it out, keep it in your fleet. If it doesn't do what you want it to do, you can turn it back in. So just a low-risk way for you to truly evaluate how this does in the field, which is really all that matters. So thank you for watching, and most of all, thank you to the lube techs out there. You know, it's a dirty job. It's a job that's got to be done. It's a job that's got to be done right. And it is easy to take a good lube technician for granted until one day some knucklehead leaves a drain plug loose, or a fuel filter loose, or God forbid puts DEF in a hydraulic tank, and now you have a very expensive set of problems on your hands. So managers, take care of your lube techs. Lube techs, keep on doing what you're doing. Thank you, we appreciate you. So if you want to learn more about mini lubes, about big lubes, about lube skids, about field service trucks, you can find us on Instagram at QT Equipment, Facebook QT Equipment, or our website, www.qtequipment.com. Work dirty, be happy. Until next time. It's got layers to it.
Yeah, layers.
Yeah.
You have to explain it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's hand tight, there's tight, and then there's torqued, right? In making sure that things are exactly the way they need to be. And then there's just a general state of angst that goes on around this place and our whole industry for that matter. So, all right,